She traded my sect's supreme bone for a chicken leg and a pretty boy. So I took it back and gave it to the disciple who would die for me. I, Adam Haynes, gave my senior disciple Layla Quinn a supreme bone the day she was born. Back then, I truly believed she would one day become an unrivaled empress. Who would have thought that after one trip down the mountain, she would throw away her future, her sect, and her master for Blake Thorne and his cheap little act? A chicken leg, a pretty face, a few sweet words. That was all it took. Because of him, Layla came back to Apex Holy Land and knelt in front of me without a shred of shame. Master, for all the years I have served you, grant me my freedom. Allow me to marry Blake. My other disciple, Faith Harlan, stood silently behind her. Faith was the junior sister, the one Layla had always looked down on, the one I had neglected in my foolishness, the one who, in the original story, stayed loyal to me until the very end and died for it. While I poured all my favor into Layla, Faith got nothing. No warmth, no trust, no reward. And when the sect finally crumbled around me, Layla was one of the first to turn her back. Faith was one of the last to remain. I had been a blind old fool. Not this time. I looked down at Layla and said the words that made the entire hall freeze. From this day forward, the supreme bone shall belong to Faith Harlan. For one heartbeat, nobody moved. Then the whole hall exploded. Layla's face twisted like she had been struck across the mouth. No, why would you give my supreme bone to her? I refuse. Your supreme bone? Even now, she still thought it belonged to her. Faith's eyes widened. She clearly had not expected this. She had probably assumed that once the bone was reclaimed, it would return to the sect treasury or be passed to some elder's bloodline. She never imagined I would place it in her hands. Layla had always looked down on her junior sister. Faith was prettier, stronger, calmer, and far more respected within the sect. The only reason Layla had ever stood above her was because I had held her there with my own favoritism. Now that favoritism was gone, and for the first time in her life, Layla looked truly afraid. Without the supreme bone, she was nothing special. Without my protection, she did not even qualify to stand beside Faith. The killing intent in the hall sharpened. This time, it did not come from me alone. Faith stepped forward, her sword flashing into her hand as she planted herself between Layla and me. Senior sister, Master showed you more kindness than you ever deserved. You consumed this sect's resources, wasted his trust, and repaid him by bringing outsiders here to covet our treasures. That supreme bone was never truly yours. Master is only correcting his mistake. That broke the dam. The disciples and elders who had swallowed Layla's arrogance for years finally found their voices. Exactly. If the sect master had kept indulging her, we might as well have abandoned the sect ourselves. She acts like Apex Holy Land belongs to her. Good riddance. Without this troublemaker, the sect will finally breathe again. Half those words were meant to praise me. The other half were meant to carve into Layla's pride. Good. She had earned every one of them. Layla's whole body trembled as she pointed at Faith. Faith, you bitch. Blake. Blake, save me. Please. Save me. All eyes turned toward Blake Thorne. He stood there with his jaw tight and his fists clenched, but he did not move. He had swaggered into my sect with that calm little smile of his, leaning on borrowed backing and chosen one luck, but now that the knife was at Layla's throat, his courage had vanished. So this was the great love she had chosen over me. Over the sect. Over her own future. His woman was having the supreme bone torn from her body, and he would not even step forward. I laughed. You want to leave after this, Blake? Why? You came here for the gift, didn't you? Then stand there and watch it through to the end. Or was she only worth something while she still had value to you? His eyes flashed with hatred, but he still kept his head lowered. Coward. Faith moved. The extraction was brutal. The moment the supreme bone left Layla's body, golden light detonated through the hall. A dragon-shaped phantom burst into the air with a roar so sharp it made the windows tremble. It was as if the bone itself had been suffocating inside the wrong host. Layla collapsed to the floor screaming, blood running down her chin, tears pouring down her face. Even now, she still could not understand how her dream had turned into this nightmare. I raised one hand and suppressed the violent golden light with ease. Faith, take what was always meant for someone worthy. Faith stepped forward, knelt, and received the bone with both hands. The moment it fused into her, the aura around her changed. It was not merely stronger. It was right. The elders felt it. The disciples saw it. Even the heavens seemed quieter. That was how the supreme bone was supposed to shine. Thanks, Master. Before I could answer, Blake finally snapped. You've gone too far. Do you even know who sent me here? I looked at him like he had barked at the wrong mountain. I do not care who sent you. His expression darkened. Shadowvale Sect stands behind me. Victoria Kane herself values my future. You really dare offend us? That stirred nervous murmurs through the hall. Victoria Kane was no ordinary name. A once-in-a-millennium prodigy. A half-step martial saint. A woman powerful enough to make lesser sects lower their heads before she even arrived. Only then did the man behind Blake finally step forward. So this was the envoy. Kyle wore the look of someone who had mistaken borrowed authority for real strength. Adam Haynes, watch your words. Layla promised that supreme bone willingly. Blake merely came to collect what was already his. If Apex Holy Land goes back on its word, the world will laugh at you. The hall erupted again, this time with pure disgust. A sect treasure, and she just gives it away. Who the hell does she think she is? Apex Holy Land raised a snake in its own nest. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. I raised my hand, and silence slammed back down over the room. The supreme bone was never Layla's to promise. She merely refined it for a time. A thief cannot gift away stolen property. And as for you, I looked directly at Kyle. An envoy dares enter my mountain, stand in my hall, and lecture me on honor? Kyle's face tightened, but he forced himself to keep talking. Do not push this too far. Shadowvale Sect will not let this slide. I took one step down from the dais. The pressure in the hall changed instantly. Air thickened. Breath shortened. The floor beneath Blake and Kyle groaned. That was the difference between a peak martial sovereign and two arrogant little pests who had spent too long walking under someone else's shadow. Push it too far? My voice stayed calm. You marched into my sect. You conspired with my disciple. You came to steal Apex Holy Land's treasure. And now you threaten me in my own hall. Blake's face paled. Kyle's knees bent first. At last they understood. I had allowed this farce to continue because Faith deserved to receive her rightful inheritance before I settled the rest. Now that she had it, my patience was over. I already know what kind of creature Blake Thorne becomes if allowed to keep walking his so-called destined path. He uses women, steals fortune, borrows power, and abandons everything the moment it stops benefiting him. Even Shadowvale Sect is nothing more than a stepping stone in his future. So why would I let that future continue? Blake gritted his teeth and tried to endure my aura. Senior, please. Too late. I flicked my fingers. That was all. A force like a collapsing mountain slammed into Blake and Kyle at the same time. Crack. Blake hit the ground first. Both knees shattered. His meridians convulsed. Blood sprayed from his mouth as he screamed into the stone floor. Kyle lasted half a breath longer. Then he flew sideways and smashed through a pillar, his arm snapping, his ribs caving, his cultivation foundation trembling so violently I could feel it from where I stood. The entire hall stared in stunned silence. No one had expected a fight. This was not a fight. This was judgment. I stepped down until I stood over Blake. He tried to drag himself backward, trembling, humiliated, broken. This was the chosen one Layla had thrown everything away for. Pathetic. I placed one foot on his shoulder and slowly increased the pressure until another scream tore out of him. You came here for a treasure that was never yours. You thought my sect would bow because you carried someone else's name behind you. You thought you could walk into Apex Holy Land, take what you wanted, and leave smiling. I leaned down slightly. Look at you now. Then I turned toward Kyle. And you, a borrowed dog barking in someone else's name. Go back and tell Victoria Kane exactly what happened here. My voice dropped lower, colder. Tell her that if Shadowvale Sect wants something from Apex Holy Land, she can come ask me herself. But if she ever sends children to bark at my gate again, I will bury them here. Then I moved my hand once more. A second wave of force tore through them. Not enough to kill. More than enough to ruin. Blake howled as the pathways in his legs and lower dantian ruptured. His rise was over before it had truly begun. The smooth road he thought destiny had laid beneath his feet was shattered in a single moment. Kyle vomited blood and collapsed face first. His cultivation crippled so badly that even if Shadowvale Sect dragged him home alive, he would never again stand in another hall and speak with that same smug righteousness. I turned away before their screams had finished echoing. Throw them out. Faith bowed immediately. Yes, master. With the supreme bone now shining beneath her skin, she looked like a different person already. Stronger, straighter, certain. Guards seized Blake and Kyle like broken sacks and dragged them toward the gate. No one stepped forward to help them. No one pitied them. Layla, meanwhile, had gone pale as death. The moment she saw Blake abandon her even after all this, something inside her finally broke. Blake, wait. Please. Take me with you. I'll go to Shadowvale Sect. I'll still be useful. Blake turned his head away from her without the slightest softness. Forget it. Find somewhere to recover. Take care of yourself. Those words hit her harder than the extraction. You heartless bastard. You're abandoning me? After everything I gave up for you? I looked down at her coldly. Looks like you are not completely stupid after all. The state you are in now is your own doing. Karma is a bitch. Layla crawled toward me sobbing. Master, please. For all the years I served you, take me back just once. I'll never dare again. Please. I did not even blink. Faith. Throw this eyesore out of my sight. Faith bowed again. Yes, master. There was no hesitation in her this time. She dragged Layla away while the disciples watched in silence. Not shocked. Not pitying. Satisfied. At last, they were seeing the truth clearly. Faith stood in the center of the hall, golden power pulsing beneath her skin like liquid fire. The elders looked at her with approval. The disciples looked at me with something they had not shown in a long time. Respect. Fear. Faith. For the first time, they were seeing the master they should have had from the beginning. Layla was broken. Blake was crippled. His envoy was ruined. And Shadowvale Sect had just received a message written in blood, shattered bone, and humiliation. This time, the story would not end the same way. This time, the loyal would rise, and the traitors would burn. Thanks for listening on Hidden Thread Teller.